Stand by to launch FanStream Sports.
3, 2, 1.
Let's start.
Hello, sports fans. Welcome to FanStream Sports. Nothing but pure sports. This is the JP Show.
JP, it is so good to hear you back on the air.
Stand by. Now, here's JP.
All right, welcome into a Thursday edition of the JP Peterson Show. We are on tape delay this morning because I have the honor of playing in the Aramco Pro-Am that's happening out of Feather Sound this week. So I will be out there with my good friend Brian Fasulo and my other good friend Lexi Thompson and Brittany Lincecum. Okay, Lexi and I are great friends, but Brittany and I are. So we'll be out there playing some golf, and Nick Geddes and I are going to regale you with 2 hours of incredible look at the Buccaneers. What do we say? Chase of Baker Mayfield. Is it a chase, Nick, or is it just a negotiation back and forth? This is going to get done. I see people freaking out about Baker Mayfield and how much he's going to cost and all this stuff. It's not going to happen. Good morning to you.
Yes, good morning to you as well. Just a lot of posturing, I guess you would call it, from both sides at this point.
That's what I feel like. Yeah.
And sometimes you just have to open up the Twitter app or the X app, whatever you want to call it. And you just see all these conflicting reports from very credible reporters, by the way, but there's just always like conflicting reports going on. And he said this, and then she said this, and he has this number and they have this number. It'll all play out. It'll all play out. The good part of this is we're almost done. It's what is it today? March 7th?
Yes.
The new league year begins on March 13th. Some of these deals are going to be announced beforehand. It's almost over. We could know what the future looks like, but we think we still have an idea.
Yeah, the Twitter response was really, really fun today. It's like, oh my God, Baker Mayfield wants $44 million. He's not worth it. Let's go get Russell Wilson. I just had to laugh out loud. I'm like, are you out of your freaking mind? He doesn't cost anything, man. The Broncos have to pay him. I'm like, is this Stu Sternberg I'm talking to? Is that who's this is Stu got a burner account here? That's who this is, right? No, the Bucs spend money on their players, Stu, so shut up. No, it's ridiculous. It is. We talked a lot about this on yesterday's show. Baker Mayfield's not going anywhere. Yes, I think the Bucs start at $25 million. Of course, that's where they're going to start the negotiation. Baker started at 44, reportedly. Peter Report reporting this, and some other sources reporting this as well. I think we actually said these exact numbers yesterday before the reports came out, and they're going to meet in the middle. And what we've said all along, we expect that deal to be in the $30 to $35 million range. So in the middle, that's about where that is. And I just and if you think Baker Mayfield is going to get a bigger offer from another team, I get news for you. Those options are dwindling. They're dwindling fast. Baker Mayfield knows that. And I'm just here to tell you, you don't take your entire offensive line to the Bahamas for a week and then stab them all in the back and leave. You don't do that. You don't tell Mike Evans, don't worry, we got this. We're going to bring you back and everybody else and talk to them all the time about putting the band together and then stab them all in the back. Mike Evans taking less money to get your deal done, to get Levante's deal done, to get Antoine's deal done. Mike Evans is not taking less money so that he can just watch Baker Mayfield walk away. That's not happening. I said this yesterday. I kind of like this little analogy. I'm going to throw this one at you again. So it's like have you done a jigsaw puzzle? You ever do a jigsaw puzzle?
Yeah,
right?
I've done a jigsaw.
You get to that magic moment, right? There's only one piece left. Like everything has come together perfectly, and you got one piece over there on the right, and there's just one missing piece in the middle, and you're like, bring, and then ching, and it's done. That's what this is. Mike Evans, Winfield, Liam Cohen, the Wirfs is going to get his money. Everything is coming into place. And you think Baker Mayfield's going to say, screw it, I'm out? No, that's not happening. It's not happening. He's not going anywhere. And I expect this deal to be done, if not before free agency, quickly thereafter. And because maybe Jason Light says, okay, look, go see see if there's somebody that's going to offer you some huge. First of all, the Bucs don't want him to get to free agency. They don't want to get into a bidding war, and I don't think they will. I think everything is they're just gonna meet in the middle, and everything will be fine before free agency starts. If you're a Bucs fan that's out there freaking out, reading all these things from other places, you read it. Just think about this. I'm old enough to remember a week ago when everybody said Mike Evans was going, money shopping. He wants to play with an elite quarterback to win a Super Bowl. That's certainly not Tampa Bay. That's Houston. Oh, he's an elite quarterback now? One good year makes you an elite quarterback? No. And where did he sign? In Tampa Bay for a lot less money and a lot less term than any of us thought he would, because he wants to be a Buccaneer. And they all want to be Buccaneers.
And even like this whole final number, and Mike's a good point to bring up. When we signed off on Monday's show, we didn't have the full details of that deal. And we figured that we were going to get, the Greenberg special, the Mike Greenberg special out of this. And you did. You got Mike Evans back for I don't even know if bargain's almost underselling it.
I think it's a bargain
for what they really got. I think it's bigger than that. So even for this Baker deal, whatever the number that comes out, let's just ballpark it and say it's 3 years, $90 million or something like that. In that ballpark. It doesn't mean necessarily that's what they're going to be paying him per year. They're going to dress this up in whatever way they can, and you're still going to get Baker Mayfield on a really good deal, at least for the first year, I would say. So there's no need to overreact to that. And then the second part of this, when it comes to how far apart they are in their valuation, I read the article and everything that I've seen today about the whole $44 million, I think, is what he asked for. And, Daniel Jones got $40 million. And so he feels like he has leverage. I don't think teams are letting – I'm not saying they never have before, but I don't think teams in front offices are necessarily letting the Daniel Jones contract sway their decisions. I think from a player's point of view, they're going to ask for more than that. But I think that does is it just kind of – it still gets more money for them in the long run, but it gets more money for them whenever they decide to compromise and meet in the middle, because their number is higher, if that makes sense. Yeah. I think that's the only reason. That's the only thing to me with Daniel Jones' contract may do to the market. It's not going to just give these guys automatically, okay, you're better than Daniel Jones. Okay, you're going to get $41 million. Yeah. Or you're going to get $42 million. That's not really how it's going to work here.
We're not going to set the market because of an asinine contract that was given out. You got to look at the majority of the contracts and where they are. Right. I could also say Patrick Mahomes made $39 million. You better than Patrick Mahomes? No, you're not.
Right. You could keep doing this with so many other quarterbacks.
Tom Brady made $25 million his last year. It wasn't too long ago. Okay, we'll throw you an extra $5 million. You better than Tom Brady? Yeah. We can go back and forth on this. And listen, the agent is doing what the agent should do, Tom Mills, Baker's agent, trying to establish the market, and they're going to meet in the middle. I don't think Mike Evans is taking less money unless he knows that money's going to be spent on getting Baker and Antoine Winfield and Tristan Wirfs and Chase McLaughlin and everybody back. That's the bottom line. And I don't think the Bucs would ever be stupid enough to let Baker get out of town.
I think the Bucs have less of a shot of – this might be interesting to say. The Bucs might have less of a shot, in my opinion, of retaining Chase McLaughlin than they do Baker Mayfield.
True. Yeah.
Can I make that argument?
You could.
I'm just saying because I just saw a kicker today, Kylie Fairbairn, who's coming off a really good season where guess what? Guess how many field goals he missed? One.
Yeah.
And he just got 3 years, $16 million. You think the Bucs have it in them to give a similar contract out to Chase McLaughlin?
Not at this point.
I don't know. And you know how kickers are. Everybody needs one for the most part. So, yeah, in a weird way, I feel more confident because I think that's that's lower on the totem pole, obviously. Maybe not the best comparison, but that's just how confident I'm basically putting it out there that I think Baker Mayfield's going to be a Buck.
Yeah. Yep. I agree 100%. And I think once that gets done, they'll move on to Levante David, to Chase McLaughlin. I don't see any of them getting away because, there's, when I talk to these guys in the locker room and about it, and you observe them in the locker room and other times, you see how tight-knit this group is. You see away from at some of these other events and what they do in their off time, these guys hang out together. It's a very close-knit group, and that matters. And I think that really matters. There's, and there's certain players you always know that they're going to go contract shopping. And they're usually ones that aren't really connected to their team or connected to their community. And all these guys really are. And I think that matters. I really do. In my experience, that matters. I know it matters to the Bucs that these guys are connected to the community and they'll pay for that. So I just, even though Antoine Winfield's deal is not done, I think it's the franchise tag is just a placeholder, and they're close enough to getting that done as well. So
yeah, let's put it out there too, because I see some people putting this. They're not trading Antoine Winfield Jr. Okay.
No, where you what?
This is like the new thing that I've seen this offseason about tagging players and then trading them after or whatever.
Yeah, Brian Burns, that's happening too, but that's he hates
Michael mentioned it to Snead and all these things. I'm like, they're it's never going to get to that point. They'll write a blank check for Antoine Winfield, I believe.
Yeah, I agree, 100%. That's a guy you just do not let go, and he wants to to be here.
Yeah, they'll tag him. They're going to negotiate and do their thing, the agents and whatever. But I think push comes to shove, they want to get that guy long term. And like I said, I think eventually, if they have to cave to his number, I think they'll do it.
Yeah, I agree. And you look around the league, man, there are players all over the place getting released, and some really, really good players.
Players.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of good players on the market, and the Bill just from the Buffalo Bills themselves. They released in one day Tre'Davious White. I would have to say he's a top 10 corner in this league.
Well, no, not anymore. I mean, he's coming off a big injury. He used to be. He would be a guy that you give like a 1-year deal to, probably under 10 mil, and hope that he's 100% and somewhere close. But he's a big name.
Yeah, he's a guy that at one time was a top 10 corner in this league, and you don't have to. Would you be okay if they said took the cap savings from Carlton Davis and signed Tre'Davious White at a much smaller deal? Yes, because you got to do that. You got to get rid of some of this stuff to get all these other people that you want in, and he would be someone I would trust. They also got rid of safety Jordan Poyer and center Mitch Morse. Are the Bucs looking for a center? I don't know what Mitch Morse was. Yeah, of course they are. Was Morse? I don't know where he was. These offensive linemen always just go to Pro Football Focus. I'm not going to look at so much tape. Morse had 1 year left on his contract, expressed a desire to stay with the Bills. Been their starting center since 2019. He's 31 years old. Served as a key locker room presence and anchor in the offensive line. So, they gave up the fewest sacks at Josh Allen's career this year at 24.
He's rock solid, kind of a Pro Bowler last year.
94.6 pass block win rate.
Right.
That's pretty good. 31 though, he's getting up there, but he's certainly got a couple of good years left and would be a huge upgrade over Hainsey. By the way, somebody I saw this the other day, and I didn't even know about this, that Hainsey is going to get like a $2 million increase in pay because he's played 96% of the snaps the last couple of years. So they now have a pool for players that play a huge amount, that are on their rookie contracts, that play a huge amount of snaps, and you get extra money if you're being productive. And that's great for him. And I'm not sure how that affects the cap. I don't know if that's it's plus cap, because that's more of an NFLPA thing. So I'm not exactly sure how it affects the cap. So people are like, oh, he's getting a raise, then they like him. No, that's not what this is. This is just because they played him, and he's been durable and he's been out there. But when you're PFF'd 32 out of 36, centers in the league that qualify, that's not good. And you turn on the tape, it's not good. And as I said yesterday, when you have a smaller quarterback, having the middle of the pocket pushed back really, really affects what he can see and stepping into throws. And they need a massive upgrade at the center position, and it's going to help Baker Mayfield tremendously. Well, Hainsey's a great guy. He's always good in the locker room, always go up and get some great, and I think he's a good, he's a good swing guy. He can play in either guard position, as obviously play tackle in his college days at Notre Dame. He can play center. You want him around. He's a valuable guy, but you can definitely upgrade at the center position, the starting center position. I think the Bucs are definitely looking to do that, whether through free agency or in the draft as well.
I think they need both. They need the left guard and the center. I mean, they've run it back with 2 years in a row of Hainsey playing center, and then essentially Gedeke / Leverett / Stinney at left guard. And look at the two guys they replaced, just monsters in Alec Marpet and Ryan Jensen. Again, very difficult to do.
Yeah.
Worst rushing attack in football the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, it goes beyond protecting the small quarterback and all these other things. Obviously, that's
a huge part of it, those two spots.
You have
right
no
there.
running game. And I just got news for people. The more you continue to have the 30-second run game in the league, you're going to break at some point.
Yeah.
I just hate to break that to people. That's going to happen. You can't keep getting away with that.
Also, we mentioned this yesterday. Jerome Baker was released by the Dolphins. And he's probably going to come on our show in the very near future. May be the first interview he does. My good friend of mine is a business partner with him, played golf with Michael Gardner today of Hydrate Heroes, which will be hopefully soon becoming the official beverage of the JP Peterson Show. So he is business partners with Jerome and was with him yesterday. Actually, they were doing an event in a fighter jet. So, and then he found out he was released. But he's made some good money. He's a really, really good player. He's a really, really good inside linebacker. In his sixth year, has put up some really, really good numbers. The Dolphins loved him. They kept him around, but just from the salary, they're saving, I think, $10 million in the salary cap by cutting him. So he's definitely a guy that I think would fit in really, really well here. It's kind of probably a mid-level deal in the $5 to $6 million range. And with Levante, obviously, you want to sign him, and you want to. KJ Britt played really, really well, but you need some depth at that position. And if you can get a player of this caliber, super fast, really, really productive, good in every facet of the game, you would get him. I think he would be a great fit. So I think these are the type of deals that the Bucs are going to have a little bit of money left over when they get, even after they can sign their guys, that they can go plug some of these different spots.
Yeah, and even like the safety position too, and because they don't really have a guy next to Winfield that they can rely on. Ryan Neal's done in Tampa Bay.
Thank God.
And this safety class, unless you draft the kid Newman from Minnesota, and I know people love the idea of having two Gophers back there.
Yeah. Not a bad idea.
Great safety class. It's just not. And I look at that position, and that's a position of need. You talk about a lot of veterans out there.
Jamal Adams.
Oh, please, no. Absolutely not. Jamal Adams, absolutely not. You think Ryan Neal was bad in coverage. I'll show you bad in coverage. But no, the other one that got released from Seattle, Quandre Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
He's been a staple at the Pro Bowl for some years, and I was a little shocked. Seattle's going, I guess, in a full kind of teardown with the new head coach, but I was a little shocked to see him get released. Veteran, know what you're getting. And then Poyer got released today. He's only 2 years removed from an all-pro season.
Right.
And he's played in a lot of big games. I mean, there's going to be a lot of options at that position that maybe they'll be cheaper too, but they're going to come in with more of a track record than what Ryan Neal did. So, and you already mentioned center and linebacker. So some of these positions, I think they'll be able to address in free agency, and hopefully don't cost them a big buck.
Yeah. So it's, it's time these are just huge times, right? This is when championships are made, when this is GMs make their money in this time, getting good deals, getting their guys signed up. And, Jason Light has done a fabulous job. He has done a fabulous job. And I think when he gets his class signed up, he may have another boat parade on his hands. If he just gets the class signed, we get a boat parade. Like we don't have to wait for the Super Bowl.
That's what he said. We get all of them. We got to throw a boat parade. That's what he said.
Like a mini boat parade.
A mini. Yeah.
Like a mini boat parade.
See,
that's fine.
But this might be like court storming, though. We might be oversaturating the market here.
Just like with non propelled boats, just kayaks and stand up paddle boards. Canoes.
Yeah.
It's that type of it's fine. But yeah, let's celebrate. And it's kind of interesting because I don't want to get into the fandom Twitter. You see Saints. I enjoy watching it. I enjoy watching Sammer and some of these other guys, big time Buck fans going after Saints fans and stuff like that. Because right now, especially when the Falcons are coveting Baker Mayfield, they're coveting Kirk Cousins. I think they're going to end up with Justin Fields myself. But, and there the Saints sit like, a gazillion dollars over the salary cap, can't make moves. And they got, they went and they got the prize quarterback last year in Derek Carr. Good for you. How'd that work out?
Yeah.
And now they're locked into some really, really bad contracts. And here the Bucs are, 4 years in a row, they've gone to the playoffs. They're wheeling and dealing. They got money now. They're going to have the best quarterback, I believe, in the division, no matter who Atlanta ends up with. And if it is Kirk Cousins, I'm okay with that. Kirk Cousins is 35 years old. He ain't won squat, and he's coming off an Achilles injury. Does that scare me? It really doesn't.
I mean, I have to see what happens when he comes back from the Achilles injury. But pre-Achilles injury, I would have told you there was no question in my mind that Kirk Cousins was a better quarterback than Baker Mayfield. I don't see why that's.
Yeah,
I don't
going into last year, sure, absolutely.
Yeah, before the injury, I think Kirk's a solid. He kind of falls into like this big tier of quarterbacks that I don't think can win Super Bowls for you, but they're like good enough to where you don't really want to let them out the building.
Right. They keep you in the playoffs. They keep you in the conversation.
Like Baker's
and if everything goes right, I think they could win you Super Bowl.
Yeah, like Baker's in there. Like the gap's not big, but Kirk obviously. Let's see what happens after the Achilles. How long he wants to keep playing. I mean, I will say this: he scares me more in Atlanta than Justin Fields does. He really does.
I disagree.
But I'm not I'm not Justin. To me, I don't know. The fourth quarter numbers for him are not great over 3 years. You can debate all you want about the whole wins, quarterback stats, and all those things. He's
in
28. I know Chicago's tough, but
I just can't. The thing that bothers me the most about Justin is when I think one of the things that is irrespective of how bad the coaching was in Chicago and how just bad the organization is, and it just never really had a clear message or identity on that offense, is his accuracy or lack thereof. I think that he can definitely improve upon that, and I think he did the last half of this year. I think he really did. But the running ability is other than Lamar, probably unmatched in this league, and that matters, and especially in that offense that he's going to have with the weapons that he has. That's going to be a very, very tough offense to defend. I would kind of look at it like that Super Bowl Carolina offense with Cam Newton.
But here's the thing, though. I mean, assuming Zach Robinson's running a McVay system and he's going to have traits of what McVay had. I mean, McVay had with Goff and Stafford, obviously, some big-time gunslingers.
Yeah.
Who fit it into tight windows, throw with anticipation. Has Justin Fields shown that he can do those things?
No. But I think Zach Robinson is smart enough to tailor his offense to what he's got. And that offense does a really good job of scheming guys wide open, as we saw last year at times with the Buccaneers. We've seen it obviously in LA, and it's spreading throughout the NFL. So yeah, I think he'll figure it out. To me, good coaches figure out how to use their the best parts of their players. And I just see an offense with, Bijan Robinson, Justin Fields, Tyler Algier, a good offensive line, Kyle Pitts, and Drake London. I'm like, okay, and if I'm a defensive coordinator, wow. I mean, just in the run game, just with Bijan Robinson alone, if I'm a linebacker and I'm sitting there waiting to see if Justin Fields is going to, give it to him, and I got to get to that hole, or he's going to pull it and I got to get to the outside. Good luck on that. And then if he pulls it, also I got to, cover a tight end going up the seam. If it's an RPO, that's a lot of pressure. There's a lot of pressure. It's when you have athletes of that ability where, you just can't, that as fast and as powerful as Bijan Robinson is, you can't just get there late to the hole, because if you do, he's running through any arm tackle you got coming. You got to meet him in the hole moving forward. That's a whole nother deal. And and when you're in conflict, as a linebacker, that's hard to do. It's really, really difficult. If you just isolate Justin Fields as a passer and try to, extrapolate how he's going to play in Atlanta based on that, I get it. But he's so much more than that. And that's what makes him difficult, will make him difficult to defend with a competent play caller, a good offensive line, and weapons everywhere. I think it would be much easier to defend a Kirk Cousins coming off an Achilles injury, quite frankly. If you ask the linebackers, they'd say, yeah, no problem. The safeties in the corners might have a different feeling. So, but in total, I think I just think that's where that's headed. So, and as those things shake out, right, the quarterback market, bringing it back to Tampa Bay, starts to shrink for Baker Mayfield. His leverage starts to, if you think that he's just out there leveraging these teams against the Bucs, where's he going to go? To Minnesota? They'd rather have Kirk Cousins back. To
Minnesota, to me, I think O'Connell wants to get his own guy in there anyway. They're going to be, to me, they're at picking number 12, I think.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be very active trying to move up. Them in Denver.
I just don't, again, all signs point to me that Baker is coming back here because I don't think he has a whole lot of other options that are going to pay him $45 million. Right. I just don't see it.
Even if there's the reports that New England's ready to do it. I mean,
there was another to New England.
There was another report that he would have no interest in going to New England, and why would he? Right?
He's not going to New England. Come on, what are we?
That's what I'm saying. It's I'm just trying to think. I'm like, if you take out all the teams that I think are going for rookies, most likely, like. Which teams are truly going after veterans? Which teams?
Well, hell, Pittsburgh's kind of taking themselves out of the market. They keep talking about Kenny Pickett. That might be a smokescreen. But
Pittsburgh's probably in the market for a veteran.
But it's going to be Ryan Tannehill.
But it's not going to be a Baker. It's going to be like a Tannehill or, Russ
who
obviously
worked with
gets
Tannehill
Smith and Arthur Smith have history.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
The Raiders, but Baker ain't going to the Raiders.
I don't see that.
I don't see that for 1 second. The Patriots, but they're picking 3. They're going to. Why are they not going to draft the quarterback?
I mean, if I were them, I would not take the quarterback. I think that's almost career suicide for any quarterback to have a young quarterback to go to New England with that roster. I would rather.
No, they don't have a choice.
I would rather take the receiver that I'm so certain of probably is going to be a stud, and
get a quarterback next year.
I'll get my stopgap quarterback for now. I would rather go after one of the stopgap.
Here's
options.
the problem with that idea. When are you going? If it works at all this year, you're not going to be picking 3rd with 3 bona fide, really good quarterbacks there. You have an opportunity to take one of the top 3 quarterbacks who all the scouts believe, and I think the best one might fall to you. I think Drake may be the best of all of them as an NFL player. So you may have the best guy in the draft. Even if you have maybe say you eke out 5-6 wins, now you're drafting 7th in next year's class. Who you got? You got a golden opportunity there to take a good young quarterback and build around him. If Bill Belichick was there, I'd say, yeah, they might be stupid enough to pass. But no, he's gone now, and they're going quarterback. Come on, that's just silly.
I don't know.
That would be.
That's actually one of my favorite spots for Russ is New England. It's one of my favorite spots. I think he could use a change. Like he's been on the West Coast.
Well, then where are they going to get their long-term quarterback?
New England.
Well, they think they're just going to draft one in the 6th round again?
No, I'm just telling you. I don't know where they're going to get that guy at. Hold on. They would pick probably 35, I think, in the 2nd round.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, hell, would you rather have Drake May and pick 35, and let's say it's a receiver there, or would you rather get Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3 and have a chance to get a Michael Penix sitting with that pick? Because I don't think Penix is going round 1. There's a lot more. To me, it's more to think about.
No, I don't think you can pass on Drake May. Can't pass on him. No way. You'll regret that. I think you'll regret that. And who knows about these quarterbacks? But I just, if you have an opportunity when you've gone through this crappy season to get that guy, and again, you don't know if he's going to pan out, but you got to make the play. I think when given his skill set and what we've seen from him, yeah, I think you do. So we'll see. The bottom line is Baker Mayfield ain't going anywhere. He ain't
Yes,
going anywhere.
that's the overarching theme is he's going probably nowhere.
Yeah. All right, we're going to take our first break, and when we come back, Nick and I are going to talk some Rays baseball. We've seen a couple of weeks of games now. Guys are kind of rounded into shape. The starting rotation for the Rays is very, very interesting to chat about, especially as Taj Bradley pitched really well yesterday against the Yankees on Wednesday. So we'll do that when we come back. We're brought to you by the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. We're local, we're credible, and we get results. They are a great organization over there at the Jeeves Law Group. They will help you out if you've been in an accident, if you've been your car has been totaled and you don't think you got a great settlement. They'll check in on that with you, and everything is a free case evaluation. So go to the website, jeeveslawgroup.com, and get a free case evaluation. Tell them JP sent you. Back in 3 with some Rays talk. Stay with us. JP here from my friends at your local Synovus Bank, and I do mean friends, and I do mean local. One of the local managers in Tampa is John Acosta, big fan of the show, and I've known him for over 40 years. He's been in local banking since 1983. You talk about developing relationships. You don't stick around for that long unless you're doing things the right way and have a great reputation, and that's the focus company-wide at Synovus. Big enough to handle any complex international transaction, but small enough to answer the phone when you have an urgent question about your business or personal account. And for personal accounts, they have a very easy app that works great. You can do everything online. And for large or small businesses, you will get that personal touch and services to help build your business, taking your dreams and aspirations from the whiteboard to reality. We can make that happen. Let us show you how. For a get-acquainted meeting to open a business or personal account, just call John or go to synovus.com to find out where your local branch is. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA two-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to geddesgordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com. or call 813-485-6808.
Lexi Thompson headlines the Aramco Teen Series presented by PIF comes to town. Featherstown Country Club plays host this March 8th through 10th as the best in women's golf compete for a $1 million prize fund. Secure your place now at AramcoTeamSeriesUSA.tixr.com.
Let's go. Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here on this Thursday. For you commenters this morning, we apologize that we are on tape delay this morning, so I can play in a very important Pro-Am at the Aramco Team Series event, which you just heard the spot for. It's going to be a really, really cool event. Looking forward to it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's a three-person pro team So it's a team event. And then you have a amateur that's going to be involved. That will not be in the actual tournament. We're doing the Pro-Am tomorrow. My good friend Evan Klosky at Channel 10 is going to be a member of one of those teams. He is going to be worn out. So I wish him the best of luck. And we have our pro assigned. I got the information tonight, and she is a 35-year-old who played in the 2016 Olympics. Maha Hadi is how you pronounce her name. She speaks 4 languages. She's from Morocco. Actually lives in Casablanca. Never met anybody from Casablanca, and the only Arabic golfer on the ladies European tour. So Brittany Lincecum is going to be out there. Lexi Thompson, Team USA is going to be very well represented. So should be fun. It's got, by the way, layout looks fantastic. It's like all the hospitality is out there. All the, the huge galleries that will be following me this morning. Well, there's plenty of room for you people. So come on out. Enjoy some great golf this weekend. St. Pete Grand Prix as well. Nick Geddes is on this weekend. We had Linus Lundqvist on this week, a rookie driver with the Chip Ganassi, the number 8 American Legion car. So had him, a really, really interesting guy, fun guy. I'm going to try to get him hooked up with Victor Hedman this weekend if the boys are going to have some time to come out on Sunday to the race. So he's all excited. He's a former champion of the lower series, so he's raced here before in the NX. JP here from my friend, and so he's very accomplished. I'll be interested to see how he does in this new Chip Ganassi ride. He could be a real surprise. I might lay a few shillings on the young Linus to see how he might do. So we shall see.
Ironically, again, Tampa native. I've never been to the St. Pete Grand Prix. It's one of those events I haven't gotten out to yet, but everybody tells me it's like a NASCAR race. Like you might watch it at home and go, "Oh, that's a little boring," but when you go there, it's just a different, rumble to it. And I feel like that's what everybody probably says about going to like an Indy race. So.
No, I said it the other day. You talk about people say hockey doesn't really translate to television. Auto racing does not translate to television because you can't feel it. You can't smell it. You can't, you can almost taste it in the air. The smell of burning fuel and rubber burning.
There is nothing better that I love than have you ever been to East Bay Racetrack?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I go there to see like the late models and the sprint cars and everything.
Yeah.
And I've been going there since I was a kid. Don't think anything's changed.
Yeah.
Like the bathrooms are still the what do you call them?
The trough.
The trough. The bathroom is still a trough. And you go and you sit and everything. And if you don't get there early enough where you're sitting high up, then you're just getting blasted with dirt the entire time.
Oh, yeah.
You're getting hit with stuff left and right. And then the smell of the rubber and the dirt. I love it though. You got a big thing of boiled peanuts and some beer.
Oh,
I mean, you can't beat that.
You get some, what you get there though, you don't find you get the figure 8 school bus racing. Oh
yes.
You haven't lived.
You get the whole thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you get the ones that go around that sound like bees buzzing, just going around in a circle and everything. I mean, it's awesome. It's awesome.
Yeah, but this is obviously not that.
This is obviously a different category though.
These cars, man, and you get a chance, we'll have obviously access to pit road and the paddock and everything. And you go back and you look at how they work on these cars, these finely tuned, engineered cars. It's just amazing. It's really cool. And the speed, up close watching them go through these hairpin turns. And I've been lucky enough to have a ride in the media car, the 2-seater. And it's exhilarating. So you get out, there's lots of great stuff. We got spring training going on all over Tampa Bay. We got, which we're going to get in here in just a little bit. We got the IndyCar this weekend. We got the Aramco Team Series event. We got coming up in 2 weeks. We got the Valspar. They've got a great field. Tony Finau just committed. They got Jordan Spieth, Justin Thomas. They've been adding players right and left for an event that's not a signature event. They will probably have the best field this year of the non-signature events. So get those Valspar tickets as well. So lots of cool stuff going on all throughout Tampa Bay. So get out there, enjoy the good weather, and enjoy these great athletes that we get to watch. All right, speaking of which, the Rays beat the Yankees 4-3 on Wednesday. Taj Bradley threw 3 really good innings, retired 7 straight at one point, and that was the Juan Soto, Aaron Judge, Giancarlo Stanton, Gleyber Torres, Anthony Rizzo Yankees. They didn't get cheated, and Taj looked good. He's worked on his cutter, which was not very good last year, which is vastly improved. Got 1 strikeout, didn't walk anybody. They're going to need Taj Bradley to be a stalwart in this this starting staff that really only has 2 guys that have been through a full major league season as starters. 2 guys. That's it. Full season. That's Savali and Zach Eflin. So the rest of it is just piece it together. Now, I'm not saying they're not going to be able to do that because they got Zach Littell, who was fantastic at the end of his last, 12 starts with like a 3.4 ERA. Taj Bradley, as I mentioned, obviously, they're hoping that he's going to have a much better season than they did last year. And I thought his stuff was really, really good last year. Savali, Littell, and Shane Baz, they're especially Uwasawa. We haven't seen him pitch yet. At least I haven't seen him pitch on TV.
He got a game in yesterday. A lot better than his first outing, I will say. But they kind of have a little bit of a logjam though, because I know you still have some other names you were going through. I think like Pepio is in the mix.
Yeah, Pepio, who did not pitch
rocked.
well. He got rocked. Yeah. Who else?
We thought Baz was going to be in the mix, and oblique injuries.
Not good.
Something about the Rays pitchers. They just get and what did he get it? Picking up a weight? It was picking up a weight, right?
I think so, yeah.
I feel like it's always just something so out of the box that happens with the Rays pitchers. So I don't know. He's starting to enter the and again, I don't want this on him. It's just I can't help but think of the Brent Honeywells of the world and even Brendan McKay of guy. And
who's back?
Brendan McKay, he's back.
Years.
Yeah, Brendan McKay is back. It's like, does he factor to anything? I have no idea. It'd be nice. I don't know. But this is 7 years after he got drafted 3rd overall.
Right? Bizarre. What's weird is by the end of the season, it could be Eflin, Savali, Rasmussen, Springs, Boz, or Taj.
Taj probably.
Yeah. And a couple other guys in the bullpen. So this is going to be a very interesting season as far as the starting pitching goes and, the entire bullpen as well, because they're going to have a lot of other arms and how do they mix and match. And
no, I'm more curious to see how this turns out whenever those guys all get back healthy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, not to look too far in advance, we got to get through this whole season, but I'm just thinking in 2025, I'm like, you already got, when Shane comes back, you have those big 3 already that are all sidelined, plus Eflin, plus Savali, and then you got all these young guys. Sounds like there'll be a lot of moves being made at that time, but for this year, listen, the Rays are going to pitch well. I know you have some concerns about the rotation, and if there's anything I know, they'll piece it together.
Yeah, of course they will.
I don't think we should have much concern about them so far.
Well, it's interesting. There was a really good piece done by Chad Jennings in The Athletic. I don't know if you read it. It's basically, how the Rays have simplified the complex art of pitcher development. And it goes into basically the secret sauce of Kyle Snyder. And, to boil it down to something that's very easy to understand, and it's really interesting to note this. The difference between probably the number one thing they focus on is the first pitch strike. Listen to this number. So the difference between 0-1 and 1-0, what do you think it is in terms of on-base percentage? After you get to 0-1 or 1-0, what is the on-base percentage after 0-1? Guess.
Is it under 300?
Yes. Considerably. 266. 266 on-base percentage if you first pitch strike.
That's horrible.
That's pitching-wise, it's fantastic.
Yes.
Right? 1-0, 380.
Above average.
So he said, like you said in the piece, 266, that's Martin Maldonado. 380, that's Mookie Betts. I mean, there you go, right? That's how important it is. So one of the things the Rays really, really stress is trust your stuff. Trust your stuff and throw it over the freaking plate, especially with the first pitch. And Ryan Pepio, who just got here, says it's not this ginormous, huge formula that person coding on computers is doing. That's it. That's it. And you may say, well, geez, why isn't everybody doing that? Because pitchers don't trust their stuff. As good as they are, these major league hitters, they rip it one time and they all freak out. Oh, God, that got too much of the plate. I got to start nibbling again. And it's just, we all sit back and go, just throw, dadgummit, Taj, throw the damn ball over the plate. Look at your stuff, But guys, it's hard for guys to get to do it. And one of the things they talked about in this piece is they show every week they get the pitchers together and they show the best fastball, the best cutter, the best, changeup, the best two-seamer, the best four-seamer. And they show what happens to them. And he goes, in one of them, they showed the best fastball. It got hit to the warning track. And, Zach Littell was like, why are they showing this? He goes, because basically saying, listen, even if you put it right where we want you to, and you do everything right, these guys are going to hit it. Okay. But most of the time they're not. 95% of the time, if you do what we say, it's going to work. 5% of the time it's not. That's baseball. So just trust it. Trust it. And if you give up a couple of solo shots, we're not coming out there to pull you out of the game. We're sending you to Durham. You're doing what we're telling you to do it. Trust the process. We trust the process. You trust the process. Throw the damn ball over the plate. And it's really interesting. The whole story. I'll retweet it today. Here's I like hearing from the guys that just got there. And this is from Fairbanks as well. Let's see where it's. He goes. The Rays added free agent Phil Matone to their bullpen this offseason, and until their overall health improves, they seem to on track to open with Eflin, Savali, Littell, Pepio, and Taj Bradley. There's a misconception that the Rays don't care about starting pitchers. They prefer their openers and bulk relievers and 6 pitching changes a night. The history shows otherwise. They get creative when they have to, but the Rays want a 5-man rotation just like everybody else, which is true. But when they have to find creative ways to get the outs, they go and do it. So, all these new guys that have come in, this is what they, and, Kyle Snyder is also famous for doing his off-season visitations. He goes and visits every one of his pitchers, and he doesn't really, they talk baseball, but they don't do a workout or anything like that. He just gets to know them and wants them to trust him and build a relationship. We talk about relationships and how important they are all the time in team building. And this is part of it. When your coach understands who you are and what you are, it's much better to have that open and honest communication. So,
yeah, I could almost make an argument, as the more I heard you talk about it and bring up the points in the article, I could almost make an argument that because of the way the Rays run their team, whether they have to run it that way or not, because of the way they do run it, Kyle Snyder might be the most valuable member of the Rays and any type of managerial coach. He might be the most valuable guy because all the things that you just mentioned, which sounds so simple, by the way, like, hey, just try to throw a first pitch strike, just try to trust in your stuff. But baseball is a game of mental. It really is. And like you said, that's very difficult for a lot of guys to do. And I just, I'm not going to pretend like I'm tracking all the other 30 whatever pitching coaches around the league. But this guy's track record of success,
it's incredible.
With just bringing guys in, and it's incredible. It's a running joke at this point. The Rays signed a guy that you've never heard of, or a guy that's had like a 6 ERA or something like Bob Stevenson did. Everybody's like, oh, what's Kyle Snyder going to do with this guy? Well, he's going to make him have a really good year, and then he's going to go get paid somewhere else. It's kind of been like a cycle, right? And those guys typically don't have much success if you pay attention to it outside these walls. So that's what I'm saying. I think Kyle Snyder has an argument for being the most important piece to this entire puzzle because with all the injuries they have and how much they use guys left and right, it is amazing that he gets them able to come in here and just after a few tweaks, maybe a couple rough outings to start, then he figures out who they are. They always turn it around.
Or
Diekman did
gets
it
them to
last
trust
year.
their stuff. Yeah.
Right.
Like Littell is a perfect example. His last 12 starts, 3.4 ERA, one of the best pitchers in baseball.
Right.
Last year. Listen to, in case you forgot, Littell had been in pro ball for a full decade before the Rays got him last season. He produced one good year out of the Giants bullpen, but had otherwise become a 27-year-old journeyman, traded twice, purchased once, optioned 13 times. The Red Sox bought his contract last May and put him on waivers 5 days later. When the Rays claimed him, they became Littell's 7th organization. And 3 weeks later, he's a stalwart in the rotation with those kind of numbers.
Yeah.
I mean,
and he's having to ramp up from a, throwing an inning, type of workload to eventually throwing 5 and 6 and doing that in the middle of a season.
Yeah.
And he's not the only one they did that to. They did it to Rasmussen too. They did it to Springs.
Yeah. It's insane.
It's insane. Nobody else is doing this stuff.
Okay, we got to talk about Ahmed Rosario. 3 for 3 against the Yankees with another home run, opposite field. That's 2 home runs in 2 days, I believe, for him. I didn't realize how freaking big and, dude is jacked. And, he's the guy that's, got a 400, what the numbers I'm trying to find. He hits lefties at a 298 clip. This guy's got some serious offensive pop, and they've been playing him in right field, and he looks very comfortable there. So now that guy could have. He's got 60 career home runs. He was considered a can't miss prospect for a long, long time, and just kind of, ran into some bad juju or whatever. But this guy looks like he's on a freaking mission to make some more money in this league, and I think the Rays are going to be in a very good position to pick up that whole juice that he's putting out right now. That guy looks like a freaking stud at the plate.
Yeah, the way he turned on, 2 days ago? He turned on a 102 or whatever it was from Paul Skeens.
Yeah.
On the inside part of the plate, and he just was ready for it, turned on it, and then hitting one off of Rodon, obviously, who's struggling for the Yankees, but by the way, $160 million. Just
how about that
out there? But no, for what Ahmed Rosario is doing, I mean, I saw a lot of people saying that there was some untapped power potential in him, and I went like, okay, he's been in the league for like 7 years. How untapped can it be at this point? Because at some point, I feel like you are who you are.
Yeah.
But it's just spring training, so you don't want to overreact. But he's locked in. I think he's 7 for 19 overall with the 2 home runs, and he provides the positional versatility they look for. Obviously, they got him on the cheap, $1.5 million. I mean, he just looks ready to go right now. He's the kind of guy you want the season to start and you roll with it, and be understanding of the fact that shortstop is one of the primary positions he plays, and I mean, hell, it's with the whole Wander thing going on. I mean, you got to replace that production somehow, and I think they have at least a nucleus of 2 or 3 guys that can hopefully step in and do that, and he's one of them.
All right. Also, Yandy had a leadoff home run in that game as well. So we
gotta get Randy going. He's like 0. He's hitting 0 still. Yeah.
Over 14, 5 Ks.
But the lights are not on. They're not bright. This is not his thing.
Exactly. Well, he's been busy doing music videos in the off season. Let's hope that hasn't, taken his focus away from his day job. Let's just hope that all his, hobnobbing with all these celebrities hasn't taken him away from his day job. Just saying.
He's fine. The Rays have a global star, JP. They have a global star.
They do have a global star. And I'm not going to crush you with this, Nick, because I know how you hate stadium talk, because we talked a lot about it yesterday, because there was an article in the Times about, how they're pushing back the commissioners are not getting the final numbers for another 3 weeks. And they, the Rays are really pushing them to ram this vote through. And there's starting to be there's already some pushback from a lot of these commissioners that are just saying, no, we're going to take our time. If y'all got to play another year in Tropicana Field, so be it. We're not going to rush through this without, public comment and being able to digest all these numbers, which is the way it should be done. I know the 247 Rays guys put out a poll about do you think it's going to get done? And I think it's like 55-45, 55. They think that's going to get done. I still don't think it's going to get done. I
just laugh at it at this point. I laugh at it. I read the article and everything. Well, first I read the headline, but then I'm smart. I read the article after.
Yeah.
And I laugh because there was something in there about, we need more time to discuss this, and it's a 30-year commitment or whatever. And I laugh because, this has been a 20-year discussion at a lot of different places. I know that this specific plan is not 20 years old, but the entire thing is 20 years old. And is everybody incompetent from the owner to the government? I mean, it's everything. And this is well, this is what I was going to say. If this thing does not get done in St. Pete, and again, I'm at the point where I don't even care. Just get it done. I'm worn out.
I know you are.
Okay?
I know you are.
But if for some reason this does not get done,
well, there is some reason.
How do you not point the finger at the owner?
Well, we've been doing that for a long time. Okay.
The politicians are doing what politicians do. Okay. Right. I'm not going to fault them too much. They're politicians. Everything goes at a slow pace. They want to discuss more. This always happens. But for ownership,
reason they want to discuss more is because they're not getting the numbers. They announced this thing. They had an agreement in September, and we're sitting here 6 months later or more, and they still don't have final numbers. And why is that? Because they don't want final numbers. They want to get it right up to the deadline, then shove it through.
Well,
before
this
anybody
point,
can realize what's going on, because they don't deal in good faith. That's why it's taken so long.
Well,
because they don't deal in they take the Tampa people and the Montreal people and Kreisman and every other mayor down this primrose and promise them all these things, and when they get to the line, they change the deal or just say no, we're not interested. We don't want to pay that much money. Sorry, we're done. Yeah. And you can't. That's why you can't make a deal with them.
I'm just saying every other. If you look at every other team in Major League Baseball that's been getting a stadium, whether it's Atlanta, Texas,
right?
Now they're doing it in Kansas City. I see.
Yes.
I mean, they seem to have no issue.
Ownership.
They seem to have no issue. The two teams that have had the issue forever are Oakland and Tampa Bay.
And what do they have in common?
And everybody makes a big stink. Everybody makes a big stink about John Fisher. And again, John Fisher, in a way, makes Stu Sternberg look like, filet mignon. Okay. He's a $2 skirt steak at a little Cuban joint, in Miami. That's what John Fisher is.
And Stu's so much better. I mean,
Stu has put a lot of effort into making the Trop, as you call it, putting lipstick on a pig.
Yes.
And he's found a way to get around his non-spending ways and remain competitive, all those things. The A's just have no interest in, like, they're just there. They're just being. So that's why I think John Fisher But my point is those are the two franchises that seem to always have these problems, and it sounds like it's the two owners who have the most resistance when it comes to spending money. Like, can we draw the correlation there yet? Can we just say that out loud?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a joke.
So if this deal doesn't get done, it's on one man as far as I'm concerned.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've been telling you that for a long, long time, and that's why it's so hard.
And we don't have time anymore, people. Like, we're in 2024. We don't have time to keep going back and forth and keep pushing things back. We're not on this timeline anymore.
That's why I've said this. Until they get new ownership, this is not going to be done. It's not going to be done.
I wonder if
there's no way
if this doesn't go through, I wonder if that's his last hurrah. And it's like, all right, well
I think
in his mind, he's like, okay, I've exhausted everything in Tampa. I've exhausted everything here. I didn't get what I want, so now I'm going.
Well, I would hope Rob Manfred would finally, because MLB does not want to leave this market. I would hope Rob Manfred would finally figure out what the problem is here. It's Stu, and force him, like they did Vince DeMoli, force him out. Get another owner in here with local skin in the game and get the deal done in Tampa. That's the way, and it will be done. If they were to sell it to Doyle, the Dex Imaging people, and that group, there would be a stadium deal done in Tampa within a month. I'm telling you. And that would be a real stadium deal that is a true public-private partnership that doesn't give all the money up front in some boondoggle. It's a 30 years. The city makes money, the county makes money, the team makes money. There's more revenue. It works for everybody. It's the middle of the market where the most revenue will be made. That's what makes sense. Everybody knows that. That is not debatable. And that's the way it needs to play out. And if it doesn't play out that way, I'm to the point where if they want to leave, and I know they don't want to leave. I know they don't want to leave this market. That's to me the way it's got to go down. And hopefully Rob Manfred is going to freaking figure this out sooner than later. That it stews the issue, get rid of him, and everything will fall into line. Everything will fall into line. It's not that hard. All right, we'll take a break. I'm going to come back on the other side. The apple of the Lightning's eye is gone. Noah Hannafin has gone to the Las Vegas Golden Knights, folks. So I'm sorry to say, but that may be a blessing in disguise for the Lightning. And we will tell you why when we come back. We are brought to you by the Gold and Diamond Source. It's the 40th anniversary of the Gold and Diamond Source. Steve and Julie Weintraub started this. Well, Steve did many, many years ago. Julie came on board 20 years later, and it has been a match made in heaven, and they are celebrating with 40% off most of their inventory. So go check it out if you're looking for something shiny for your girl, graduation presents coming up, Easter present, whatever you want to do. It's the Gold and Diamond Source. Bring that old gold jewelry in that you don't wear anymore. They'll give you cash for that as well. 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com. Back in 3. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man Scott Jeeves, who lives right here and has long been a highly respected member of our community. He's a proud sponsor of the Tampa Riverwalk. Jeeves Law Group is also a proud sponsor of our Grand Central District in St. Pete and has neighborhood events throughout the year. He has an office on Central Avenue in St. Pete and one on South Howard in Tampa. You can't get more local than that. So when you need an attorney, you're going to hire some huge firm that advertises all over the state or the one that supports your favorite sports show. It's the Jeeves Law Group. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. For personal injury and personal attention, call us for a free case evaluation. That's 8889-JEEVES. That's 8889-JEEVES.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Did you know Steve Weintraub founded the Gold and Diamond Source over 40 years ago by selling gold-plated sand dollars? And to celebrate, the Gold and Diamond Source is selling gold sand dollar jewelry with the proceeds supporting Julie and Steve Weintraub's foundation, Hands Across the Bay. Yes, in 1984, Steve opened their first location, expanded to 9 stores as far as Atlanta, but now they've consolidated all that inventory under one roof, becoming one of the largest family-owned fine jewelry stores in the country. Julie, of course, joined forces with her husband 20 years ago, and they're going to celebrate by offering up to 40% off select jewelry items. Plus, with gold prices near all-time highs, it's the perfect time to trade in your broken or unworn pieces for something new and stunning. Unlock the value in your jewelry box today at the Gold and Diamond Source. It's always one place, and it's always a great place. The Gold and Diamond Source celebrating their 40th anniversary, 3800 Olmerton Road, always online at thegoldendiamondsource.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
This is The Strike. 102.5 WHPT, HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.
Yeah, it's so great to be on The Strike, the Lightning's new sports channel, 102.5 HD2. You can get that on your car radio, folks. Just lock it in. You do the search. It should come up right after the bone. 102.5 should be another little heading underneath that. So then you lock that in and you can search for it or just have it on your presets. You can listen to our show live from 10 to 12. Then Greg Linnelli and Dave Mishkin are live from 12 to 1 with Lightning Power Lunch. And we have a lot of other great content in there. There's USF games. There's Martini Mondays with Phil and Bobby the Chief Taylor, which is really, really good. Greg Wolf's podcast. Chris Kren and Gabby Shirley have a podcast we put on there as well. We're kind of the all sports show that we put on there just to give you a little extra everything. So, yeah, it's really a lot of good content. So if you're looking for something different on your radio dial as changes are made other places, well, there you go. You can come in and listen to us live and always as a podcast as well. So we appreciate all you guys. I think we had record numbers yesterday on our live show, over 200 on the live show, and that's just part of our audience. We've got 6 or 7 Twitter feeds, we've got YouTube, a couple of YouTube channels, then we have the podcast and all that. So we add all those numbers up, and we've been doing really, really well. We really appreciate you guys spreading the word about the show. We feel it's the best content in the marketplace for 2 hours, Tampa Bay centric sports radio. So tell all your friends and have them tune in and support the show. We really appreciate you guys. Support all those great sponsors at the bottom there. Bay Area Modern Medical Center, Italiano Insurance, Golden Diamond Source, the Geddes Gordon Group with Jane Geddes, who's going to join us on Friday. You're doing a live, we'll be out live at the Aramco Team Series events on Friday. She's going to join us. American Mortgage Services and Synovus Bank. So anyway, let's talk some hockey. And it looked like Noah Hannafin was headed towards your Tampa Bay Lightning, but no, we have been intercepted by the Las Vegas Golden Knights. Apparently, all reports out there that the Golden Knights are going to scoop him up. He was in the final year of a 6-year, $4.9 million annual average deal. He reportedly turned down an 8-year extension from the Calgary Flames, where he's currently playing. Wanted to be traded, had Tampa Bay on top of his list, but it looks like Julian Breezeball wasn't going to give up what the Flames wanted. And I haven't seen, I don't know if you've seen, Nick, the compensation that's headed back Calgary way.
The whole deal is still being finalized, according to Elliot Friedman of Sportsnet up in Canada. But he said he already mentioned that it includes defenseman Daniil Miramonov, who's a 26-year-old defenseman, and a first-round pick. And there's also going to be a third team reportedly that's probably going to be involved here, and there's going to be some salary retention going on as well. But just on the surface, when I see a depth defenseman and I see a first-round pick, I mean, listen, it's entirely plausible that A, Noah Hannafin wanted to come to the Lightning. B, the Lightning wanted Noah Hannafin. They exhausted every effort to try to get the compensation. Calgary's not just going to give the guy away, even though they know for a fact that he's not coming back in the offseason, because most of these American-born players, they lost Johnny Hockey, they lost Kachuk, and now they've lost Hannafin. The American players do not want to play in Calgary. That's a thing now. But Vegas put Mark Stone on LTIR again. So they continue to do the same thing the Lightning have done, and they get that extra money. They went after Mantha yesterday or the day before, and they keep swooping in, and that's a very aggressive team.
Yep.
And they love to acquire players at the deadline. They do it every single year, kind of like the Lightning used to do when they were competing for Stanley Cups year in and year out, right?
But they had ammunition that the Lightning
didn't have.
Right.
They have ammunition. They still have ammunition, and clearly they're using it. And when you hear first-round pick, I don't have to hear anything else. There's nothing else the Lightning could have offered.
Exactly.
And in my opinion, and I've been saying this, and I'm trying to nicely say this to Lightning fans, because last night I decided to actually tweet something out, and I ended up getting caught up in going back and forth with some people, and nobody can keep it respectful usually. But I just see people. I mean, it was crazy. People were saying JBB, Julian Breezeball, is worthless, and he's ruining this team, and this and that. What's he done? And You know, I countered back. I said
Won
he
2
was
cups?
he was the general manager for 2 Stanley Cups, and then I'm getting responses wrong, not the GM. Get your facts straight. And I'm like, I think my facts are straight, JP.
He was.
I
He
think my
was.
facts are straight.
Yes.
Okay. When Julian Breezebois felt like he needed to upgrade the team to get them over the hump in 2020, 2021, and 2022, he did those things.
So bad.
He's
He
out,
did
but he's
those
out of
things.
ammunition.
And listen, he has no more ammunition left. And as I've been trying to say this to people, and I hope everybody's opening their eyes to the fact now that we're 60-something games through, I don't think this is the team to just throw away whatever assets you have left in, because I don't see them as a credible Stanley Cup contender at this moment.
I don't. I mean, Dave Mishkin might disagree with you on that. And I think you can make the case. I'm going to talk about Vasy here in a second. I think they had a very interesting discussion on Lightning Lunch yesterday, which I want to get into. But yeah, I don't think when you look at this team, you know, obviously Steven Stamkos had a horrible February. Maybe he bounces back. Kuch is carrying this team. They need contributions from other people. Defensively, they're 25th in the league. You ain't winning anything when you're 25th in the league defensively.
And Vasy's 40th in save percentage, folks. He's 40th.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think this tells us 2 things. I think it tells us what you just said. Brisebois knows that you're not going to go for a rental and give up that kind of capital for a rental. You're just not doing it. Now,
If
could
he
they
had
sign
the
him
capital,
long term?
He would have done it.
I think he might have. I think he
still would. I still think no matter what I think or anybody else thinks, their mode is, hey, we still have this core here. We're in a playoff spot. We want to go for it. And by the way,
they got outbid.
They got outbid. But here's the thing: this guy's not falling.
Yeah,
it's Wednesday. This trade happened Wednesday night. Okay, the trade deadline is Friday. Yeah. Last time I checked, Noah Hannafin wasn't the only player on the market.
And let's just, I know they're 25th in defense. I get that. How much do you think Noah Hannafin would have made? How big a difference? Like, he's the guy that's putting you over the top?
There's not a singular player that's available that's putting this team over the top.
No, exactly. And so with that being said, and I don't want to make too much of it, but, you know, Florida's really good.
Yeah, and they just added Tarasenko.
Yeah. They added Tarasenko. Okay. It just, at some point you got to go, okay, maybe this isn't our year. You know, Sergachev was playing poorly. Stamkos is minus 24, minus 25. You know, it just defensively, they're getting used to some of these newer defensemen or it's the system, whatever. And Vasy is not Vasy right now. He's just not. These numbers are not Vasy-like numbers. You know, we watch every game, right? Does this look like the guy that brought you 2 Stanley Cups and took you to another final? No. And should it 2 months after back surgery? No. It is reasonable to say, and this was interesting with the conversation that Greg and Mish were having. Franz John was talked and was asked about Vasy, and they said he was asked to describe his season in a word, and he said resilient, which means, you know, obviously means you're playing through adversity, as Mish said, and you're playing. We don't know how he's feeling. We don't know what he's battled through. Franz John knows, and he said he's been resilient. So I think that gives you kind of a little bit of a look behind the curtain. And what do we know about Vasy? He's a workaholic. You know, did he come back too early? Did he work out too hard to get back? I'm sure he did, because that's his makeup. That's what he does. He's an unequaled athlete. He is, you know, when you're the best in the world at something, you do things that other people don't do. And one of those things is his work ethic. It's ridiculous. And in this case, maybe he pushed it too. I'm not saying he did, but he's not the same guy right now. And it's going to take more time for him to get right. Now, hopefully this, you know, 4 games in 16 days or whatever they're going through in this little homestand, maybe that rest will help him kind of get back and heal and be better. And that's the thing though. as long as you got Vasilevsky, and you said this just the other day, and I agreed wholeheartedly, you got a shot. This may be an average team right now, and the numbers reflect that, as you have pointed out, Nick. But if Vasy gets back to Vasy form, i.e. the best goalie in the game, you don't want to play the Tampa Bay Lightning in that pedigree of championship players in the playoffs.
Oh,
you want
I mean, I hate to boil it down to one thing, but you're exactly right. You need They need Vasilevsky to carry not just his weight, but
like
got to almost
the 2 cups.
What
you know?
Kucherov is doing on the offensive end for this team is kind of what you need for Vasilevsky in net, and if whether or not we're going to see that is really the big question mark at this point.
Right.
I mean, that's really all it comes down to, and that, but it's still a big ask for me because again, he still has played a lot of hockey over time. He's not a young pup. He's not like he's old or anything, but he's certainly not, 22, 23, 24 anymore.
What's he, 28?
I think he might be 29 if I want to get that right. He's around there. He's pushing 30, my point is, and he's played a lot of hockey. It just might not be their year, but it's just the constant battle of, and actually we got the full trade call, by the way, to get it right. Hanifin went for a first, Miramonov, and a conditional third, which upgrades to a second, and Vegas wins just a singular playoff round.
That's
I mean, you're just not getting close to that. And now that I've seen the 3 big defensemen that have been moved, Hanifin to Calgary or to Vegas, Tanev from Calgary to Dallas, and then what was the other one? Oh my goodness, Sean Walker to the Colorado from Philly. They all netted first round picks. That's the going rate for the defensemen right now in this tier.
We don't have one till 2026.
Yeah, my guess is the Lightning made a move earlier on Wednesday. They got involved in that Edmonton deal.
Yeah.
And they got a 4th round back in that. My guess is they're going to try to use that in something else, maybe a player, to try and go get a lesser name on the market that's going to be cheap, and maybe they can try to get multiple guys like that. I mean, that's my guess at this point.
Yeah.
I don't see them getting one of these big fish like the idea that they're just going to now pivot to Jacob Chychrun over in Ottawa. Come on, they're going to want a first round pick. It's not happening.
So, Lightning fans, I'd say take heart. Take heart. You still have a championship pedigree core of this team. Mitchell Chafee is playing better. Defensively, I think they've been playing better. They've had some moments of idiocy. I guess we've seen a lot of that this year. But I think they have an opportunity. They have an opportunity to become a much better team, and that pretty much squarely rests on Vasilevsky's shoulders. So we'll see.
And they do have I believe they have the easiest schedule in the Eastern Conference in the second half.
Yeah. But they wasted that, they wasted opportunities with Ottawa and Buffalo, and they got the 2 against Montreal, which was great. And that was a big win, on Saturday. That was a huge win. Tyler Mott with a humongous shorthanded goal with under 10 to go, and you're down 3-2, and you're looking at getting no points out of that trio of games at home, and would have been your 5th straight home loss, unprecedented.
Yeah. And I still
they turned that
like,
around. They got 2 points out of it.
Yeah, and I feel like tonight against Calgary is just as important. I mean, this Calgary team is telling you right now, hey, everybody's available. Come take them from us. We're done. We're rolling over. Our goalie's saying that he doesn't like the way we're handling things. Like, we're dead. If you drop points tonight against Calgary, it's again, I go back to it. I'm just like, man, like, let's wake up, So again, they need to start beating the teams that they should put away. And that's kind of where they've struggled. I actually think they've played good against some of the better teams in the league. Like, they've had some good showings against Boston. They had a great showing against Colorado 2 weeks ago when they were playing their best hockey of the season. Like, to me, they've played well against the good teams in this league.
But as these other teams catch up with games in hand, the Lightning now sit in the second wild card at 72 points. The Islanders are behind them at 68 with 2 games in hand. They win their next 2 games, they're tied. Okay? And the Islanders have won 4 in a row. The Capitals now are at 65 points with 3 games in hand. Start doing the math, folks. The Lightning are on the precipice, and by the end of when all these games, doesn't mean the Caps are going to win them all, because the Penguins, the Islanders, all the teams that are behind them are going to be playing each other as well. But there's a lot of teams there. The Caps are at 65 with 3 games in hand. The Penguins are at 64 with 3 games in hand. The Devils are at 64 with just 1 game in hand. So the Penguins, the Capitals, and the Islanders especially are right there. And they're, the good news is they're tied with the Red Wings, who have 2 games in hand as well at 72 points. So they're going to have to play in these final 20 games, 13-7, to get 13 or 14, 12 wins at the least out of these last 20 games to make the playoffs. So it's on. It's on. There's no question about that. They're not catching the Maple Leafs either. The Maple Leafs are at 80 points with 1 game in hand. So they're not catching the Maple Leafs. So a lot of work to do for the Lightning. I still think they're going to make the playoffs. And who knows? At that point, who knows? They're going to be a dangerous team if they make the playoffs. And we've seen it every year in hockey. Eighth place teams like the Panthers last year, who made it on the final day, almost won the freaking Stanley Cup. So
can you imagine getting that?
Enjoy the ride, people.
Can you imagine getting that last playoff spot though, and having to play Florida the way they're constructed right away? I mean, you have to go through them at some point anyway, but that would be
potential to be embarrassing, especially given what we saw the last time these 2 teams played.
Yeah, I mean that team's the best team in hockey that I've seen. But then again, listen, Boston had a historic year last year.
That's
historic,
right.
And so did the Lightning 4 years prior. And they didn't go far. So there's a randomness to the playoffs that I do enjoy.
Right. I'm going to look at the future schedule here for the Lightning. They've got Calgary coming up, and then let me see the rest of these. Where is the freaking schedule? Their website has gotten really bad. Can we say that?
Yeah. I had the schedule up, by the way.
What?
I had it in my tabs. They got Philly on Saturday night.
Not the damn thing right here.
It's right in front of you. They got Philly on Saturday night, which, by the way, that's when Andy and Brad Richards go into the Hall of Fame, which
that's
I'm
right.
Excited for.
Yeah.
In the banquet, is it Friday?
Yeah, Friday.
So that'll be
Get
fun.
your tickets.
And then they have a 4-day layoff, and they get the Rangers, the Panthers, and
Panthers,
Vegas. They get New York, Florida, and Vegas in a 5-day span.
But you said it was an easy schedule.
That's what the folks were telling me. But then after that, they get San Jose, LA, Anaheim. But then they come right back home, and it's against Boston and the Islanders, who are chasing them.
Mm-hmm.
Detroit, Toronto.
They still better start playing some good hockey, man.
Yeah, they're gonna. And the last game of the season, by the way, and this is why they hopefully they have a buffer. Is they play Toronto in the last game of the season.
Where?
It's at home.
Maybe they won't make the playoffs. We shall
just let it ride. Let it.
We
ride
shall
out.
see.
Let it play.
All right, we'll take another break. When we come back, I'm going to get into some college stuff, including Nick Saban telling everybody why he quit. Very interesting stuff. Some news on Mike Norvell, which isn't news really if you're a frequent listener of this program. USF basketball, we got to talk a little bit about them as they head to their final regular season game, and some other fun stuff, including Moose getting gutted in the Iditarod. It's a great story. It's a great story. Oh, and a high school basketball game story I got for you as well. Lots of good stuff coming your way. We are brought to you by the dynamic duo of the Geddes Gordon Group. All your real estate needs. Jane Geddes got you covered if you're looking for an investment property or a new home, and then get it mortgaged at our good friends American Mortgage Services. Scott Fitzgerald, the best in the business. Rates are coming down a little bit, so let him figure it out for you. He'll get you the lowest rates. Get rid of all those stupid fees the big banks charge. Scott Fitzgerald, Scott at amstampa.com. Back in 3. Hey, it's a great time to buy a house and get a mortgage with American Mortgage Services. Okay, I got your attention now. But JP, rates are at 8%. That's true, But I spoke with our friend Scott Fitzgerald at AMS Tampa, and this is what smart people are doing. Rates peaked at 8% last month, but they've come down, and AMS recently locked some folks in the high sixes. Prices have also stabilized or dropped in some areas. So if you're going to eventually buy, now is the best time to get the house you want. Fitz will get you the best rate out there, shopping it around to dozens of lenders, and when rates come down in a year or so and the frenzy begins again, prices go bananas again, you will already have the pick of the litter. Then he will refinance you and keep costs at nearly zero because that's what they do at AMS Tampa. You're back at 4% in the house you wanted while others fight the frenzy. Be smart. Stay one step ahead. Email Fitz at scott@amstampa.com, scott@amstampa.com, or call 813-294-7595. Scott Fitzgerald, NMLS 386722, American Mortgage Services, 1000 North Ashley Drive, Suite 1020, Tampa, Florida.
All right, this is for all you guys who don't want to go to the gym and do 5,000 crunches. At Bay Area Modern Medical Center, you can get on the new True Body machine where you can reduce fat and tone up your muscle. It's like doing 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Define your body as you see fit. True Body offers personalized muscle stimulation that delivers the equivalent of those 54,000 crunches in just 15 minutes. Just get in touch with them at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com. Chris Lugo and the team over there will set you up on True Body and get amazing results. Non-invasive with comfortable and little to no pain and zero downtime. You can isolate and target those areas that you want to improve and treat multiple areas simultaneously. It's an amazing machine, so check it out at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com.
Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Lexi Thompson headlines a star-studded field as the Aramco Team Series presented by PIF comes to town. Feathersound Country Club plays host to golf's most innovative format this March 8th through 10th as the Ladies European Tour makes the trip across the pond. As Megan Kang and two-time major winner Brittany Lincecum add to the American star power, Europeans Carlotta Singata and Charlie Hull aim to spoil the party. Secure your place now at AramcoTeamSeriesUSA.tixr.com.
Let's go. Right now. Back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here, brought to you by the great folks at Synovus Bank, the big bank with a local small bank feel. Just head on in there, and if you're looking for a new personal banking account, they have all the apps and stuff that makes it real easy, so you don't have to go into the bank. You can do it all online. And if you're looking for a new business partner as a bank, they're great folks. As we mentioned, John Acosta, a good friend of the show. He's been in local banking for 40 years. So these guys know what they're doing, and they have a lot of connections here locally. They know the local scene, and that's what you're looking for in a bank, right? The big bank that has all the bells and whistles that you need, but it also makes you feel important. That is Synovus Bank. So go to synovus.com and find one near you. All right, we're going to get into some college football stuff. Nick Saban did an interview the other day to shine a little bit more light on why the 72-year-old Alabama legend recently retired after the loss in the Rose Bowl to Michigan. He said, quote, "I want to be clear that it wasn't the reason they lost the game, but some of those events certainly contributed. I was really disappointed in the way that the players acted after the game. You got to win with class. You got to lose with class. We had opportunities to win the game. We didn't do it. And then showing your ass and being frustrated and throwing helmets and doing that stuff, that's not who we are and what we've promoted in our program." As the piece continues here on CBSSports.com, Alabama made its way back to Tuscaloosa, where Saban met with several members of the team to reflect on the season and take a look at steps forward. Saban recalled that the majority of the players were worried about an increased role on the team or financial gain through NIL initiatives, and the talk of transfer portal looming as a sort of leverage. Can you imagine going into Nick Saban's office for your exit interview of the year, and you're one of the leaders of the team, and you're like, well, coach, how much am I going to get next year? That's what, and how much, what's my role and how much more money am I going to make next year? Because I could go to Georgia and make more money.
It's baffling.
Can you imagine?
And even this quote from Saban where he said it. So I'm saying to myself, maybe this doesn't work anymore. That the goals and aspirations are just different, and that's all about how much money can I make as a college player. Not saying that's bad, not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying that's never been what we were about, and that's not why we had success through the years. Yeah, it reads as if, and maybe it's not just it reads, it just simply is like college football and the way that it went in the last 3 years pushed out the greatest head coach of all time.
That's right.
That's kind of how it looks to me.
Yeah.
And that's a damn shame. And I know that he was older anyway, and maybe that day was coming regardless of what was going on in college football, but I just don't like that. I don't like that one bit. Like, that program has always been the preeminent program under Saban and put so many bodies in the NFL and got so many guys made. Like, to me, you signed to play with Nick Saban, you put it in his hands, you do your job, all those things, it's all going to work out for you.
Well, I think we said this when he stepped away, that this is all part of the landscape does not give these coaches the power and influence they once had. The players have a lot more power. They have a lot more freedom to move, which gives them leverage. And, to think that Nick Saban didn't use that as a weapon over the years is just foolish. He did. And many coaches did. And many coaches, him included, made a lot of money. And that's why he's saying it's not bad that they make money, but this is what they're all after. That's just part of it, unfortunately, because the people that run college football, and you and I have talked about this a long time, Nick, were too greedy to make the changes when they needed to be made. And now they're being made for them. And it's obvious, and it's predictably freaking chaos because, the courts are running this. Dartmouth basketball team now voted to unionize. How is that going to change college athletics? Well, it could change it dramatically. It's going to, basketball and football are going to look like an NBA model or an NFL and NBA model. And it's going to be a for-profit, enterprise that they basically have to take out of the school, and there'll be collective bargaining and all those things. And they can find a way to work, but there's going to be a transition here that a lot of people are not going to like. And a lot of it has to do with the people that were in charge of the sport refused to make those changes when they needed to be made. So here we are. We're stuck with this the way it is right now. And that's the way it's going to be. So I that sucks in a lot of ways for us people that have loved our college football and basketball. Basketball to me had died, 10, 15 years ago. And I just don't, until USF made their run, which we'll talk about in a second, I've had no interest in it. Just had very, very little interest except for, when Florida State made their runs. And that didn't used to be the case. Watching college basketball used to be absolute. This part of the year, we're watching it every night, 2-3 games a night.
Yeah. And I even said this, what was it, on Monday? And this the way you say it almost makes it sound like you're putting down one to like prop up the other, but I truly mean it. It's like women's college basketball is so much more entertaining to watch.
Yeah.
It's a much better product, and just the influence it has over everything. Whereas men's college basketball, like, I seriously struggle. It's even on like the big teams. Like, I know UConn's the number one team and everything. I couldn't tell you one player on UConn.
No.
Maybe that's just me. I just don't know. But, and I think Shannon Sharp had a quote, like, you asked me to name 5 women's college basketball players right now, I'll name them faster than I can name 5 men's.
Yeah.
And, yeah, that's so true. And it's because we got to see these players play. Like, Caitlin Clark's been there for, 4 years, 5 years? Paige Buchers is still there at UConn.
Yeah.
Like, obviously, Angel Reese, like, became a big-time celebrity for everything she did in the tournament last year.
Yep.
I mean, we just know who these players are, and we're tuned in to see it. But
And
the men's
I don't
game
know
is
if you
just
heard
not
this.
there.
I don't know if you heard this story. Talked about it on yesterday's show, but Caitlin Clark was approached by Fox Sports, to stay another year, and this may be ongoing. By the way, they're gonna end up offering her more money than she will ever make in her life, because they already own the rights to all of her games, and they just got 3.4 million people, I believe it was, to watch the game the other day when they put it on the Fox mothership.
Yep.
When she broke the record. Okay, that's more than the NBA games, folks. That's more than NBA games. And think how much the NBA is getting paid for their rights. So one person, and this has never happened before, she could get a piece of the TV rights herself that have always gone to the schools or to the league. And this is totally doable in an NIL deal. This is totally doable, and it would make Fox a ton of money, because they could pay her. They could literally pay her $20 million for next year and make money on the deal. Because you know how much it's worth to get an audience of 3.4 million people? A lot of freaking money. And she's going to play what? How many games? 30 games next year? Whatever, however many it is.
Yeah.
Maybe 20 million might be a little high, but $5 million to play college basketball, and it could be higher than that. And that's all very doable. And I don't know how she's going to say no to it.
Yeah,
Because
it depends.
I got news for you. They're not. When she puts on an WNBA uniform, people aren't watching. Not to those levels. They're not.
They might not watch to those levels, but I do think she is going to have sustainability. I think there will be people that follow. I mean, she to me is like a phenomenon. Like I don't think, like, when we're talking about like the great woman athletes, like even just in her collegiate career, you have to put her up there already. I mean, you combine influence and everything, like she's there. Like I do think
she's
that,
a game changer. No question.
and I know ESPN has control over the WNBA TV rights. Like, if you can't tell me that if they put Caitlin Clark on TV during the season, I mean, I think people are still going to watch.
I don't, not to those levels. I don't believe so.
I will see.
It's going to be
it may not be up to the 3.4 million level, but I do think viewership would increase by a good amount for her games.
We'll see. We shall see. But I think that's just an incredible story, and I would like to see what happens. And I don't know how she's gonna say no to the money. I don't know. How do you?
I'm not up to speed with the particulars on that, but I mean, I do know there's like a miss, like if she goes to the WNBA, like take that deal out of it, that potentially could come. If she went to the WNBA right now, there's a lot of people saying, "Oh, she's going to make less money." It's really not true, because all these deals that she has right now with all these other companies. Hell, Nike has this big deal with her. Mm-hmm. I mean, those are going to follow with her to the WNBA and probably become even more lucrative. And then she's going to get an actual salary from the WNBA. So she still will get a lot of money.
The TV rights are a game changer.
Yeah, that would be a game changer, what you're saying. But without that, what I'm saying is going to the WNBA is actually a smarter move financially.
I don't know.
Those deals will all follow with her.
Because she's not going to get any piece of the WNBA TV rights.
No.
That's already
this is not including TV rights or anything. This is just strictly the deals that she has right now.
Okay, we'll see. That'll be interesting to see how that plays out. All right, I have to have a shout out to our friends at USF Tally Bowl, especially on Twitter, who had to go on Twitter and say, "Oh, J.P. Peterson said that FSU was looking to move on from Leonard Hamilton and come after Amir Abdul-Rahim." That is not what I said. I think he was saying it a little bit in jest because he threw the 90% out there. What I said was, if the Knowles, if Leonard retired, because they're not going to fire him, I guess. They can fire Bobby Bowden, but they can't fire Leonard Hamilton. Okay. Leonard, and of course, Leonard has done, an incredible amount. He deserves, like Bobby, to stay as long as he wants. But it gets to a point. Even with Bobby Bowden, or you're like, okay, You're 70 whatever years old. Things aren't going so well lately. Maybe it might be time to move on. And if they did do that, if Leonard did retire, and I don't think he's going to anytime soon, but if he did decide, or if he was strongly suggested that he retire, that of course FSU would look at Amir Abdul-Rahim. Why would they not?
Well, they wouldn't be the only one.
Of course, that this just in as well. And I'm not pushing him out the door or pushing him towards my favorite school. No, my second favorite is, of course, USF. But I'm not trying to do that. And what I said in context yesterday was enjoy the moment. Don't worry about what's going to happen in the future. Stay in the moment, USF fans. Enjoy the ride this year. And what's going to happen is going to happen anyway. Don't let it cheapen the moment now. So whatever I'm talking about, we talk about these things because we have to on a sports talk show. All right? You don't have to listen, but this is the reality of the world. Other teams are going to come after your coaches. And by the way, I got news for you. If Alex Golesh wins big again next year, same thing's going to happen in football. That's because of where you're at right now, and that could change.
Can I make an argument, though, like when it comes to Amir Abdur-Rahim and the prospects of other jobs, big-time jobs coming after him? You know, I don't know what Michael Kelly's willing to pony up at the end of the day. I don't know what Raheem's contract is off the top of my head. But as long as you pay him well and, you know, as close as you could possibly get to maybe some of the big guys, I mean, USF is a fairly, like, to me, there's a lot of possibilities there because it's not a blue blood, obviously. It doesn't have a lot of good history with basketball. There's a chance, and already started in first year, to really build something special. And you'd like to think that on the horizon, potentially, with college athletics changing, the way these two programs, football and basketball, are going in that direction, it's going to help you in the stadiums, obviously, in football. That's going to drive this whole thing that I'm mentioning. You'd like to think that when there's more inevitable expansion, that USF might be near the front of that line, or they're getting closer to the front of that line. I don't know. I think USF in that way could be like a sneaky good spot. We know that the market size being in Tampa is really a good sell.
Mm-hmm.
Like, obviously the fan base, I mean, if you've been watching this year, if you have a pulse, I mean, hell, it's literally, you wouldn't have known that there was this much of a home court advantage and a great environment inside the Yuengling Center, and we've gotten to see that now. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't be a bad idea. Sometimes jumping too early or just jumping at the big time opportunity isn't always the best move. So
I totally agree with that.
Because if you go to a Florida State, for example, you're stepping in, and again, I know money sometimes can trump all, but just from a situation standpoint, you go to Florida State, you're stepping in the ACC. There's quite a bit of rebuilding, I think, that has to be done at Florida State, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not like Florida State's like a power necessarily. They just obviously had some really good years under Leonard, but they're not like, you know, a power of the ACC.
They're not a blue blood. No,
exactly.
Basketball school. No, they're not.
But yeah,
although he's won more games there, I think, than with exception of Duke and North Carolina. I think they even over the last 7 years have won more than North Carolina.
Yeah,
like,
he's
the
overall
record
is
ridiculous.
Overall, he's done a good job. I just think it's time for, you know, a nudge.
Yeah, exactly. I would agree.
Should USF fans pay attention to any of this? Absolutely not. You should definitely live in the moment. And I mean, hell, if it was my UCF Knights doing this, I'd be living in the moment, and that's what they should do. I'm more focused on the fact that if they don't win this AAC tournament, I think it's an absolute farce that they're probably not getting into the big dance.
I think that's ridiculous as well.
I think it's a farce.
Ridiculous.
You could shove your net rankings or your Kim Poms, like
your quads.
Like I'm looking at it. There's teams ahead of them that are ahead of them in like this net ranking, and I think it was Maryland maybe was 15-15.
That's crazy.
But they played 10 quad 1 games. They went 2-8. So we're just rewarding them because they went 2-8 in quad 1.
Because you had a good schedule. You had a tough schedule. We're going to reward you.
I don't get it.
I don't get that. But hopefully it won't come to that, but very well.
Maybe they just won't lose.
Well, the thing about it is everything you said about USF is true. But you also, if you're Amir Abdul-Rahim, you're like, you know, Chris Youngblood's had a great year. You know, we've had a perfect storm. We've put it all together really, really well here. Some of these guys are leaving. There's going to be a lot of turnover. Hey, yes, he can go out and recruit some better players. There's no question about it. But you're going to get a lot more money and exposure in the ACC, maybe soon to be Big Ten, if you move to that job or any other job that's going to come open that he could be a candidate for. So it sucks, but that's where you're at right now. And hopefully maybe he will be like Jim Leavitt and never want to leave, and no matter who comes calling. Maybe he's that kind of guy. I don't know. That would be a tough one for a guy with his background and where he's been and where he wants to go. It would be tough. And you've got to, if we know anything, Byron Leftwich, you got to strike while the iron is hot, because, you may think you're going to be good next year, but you ain't winning 15 in a row next year. You ain't. Like what they're doing right now is super, super special. They've never done it in 50 years of basketball. Are you going to win back-to-back conference championships in the regular season? That's going to be tough. With the turnover that you're going to have, it's going to be tough. So it's a tough one, but, that's just the reality of the situation. One other note in college ball, there was an article in ESPN yesterday about how close Mike Norvell was to leaving, and things we told you 2 months ago when this whole thing went down. It was really, really close. And I put that on Twitter, and the Alabama people went nuts. So, no way, man. We would never hire Mike Norvell. Are you kidding me? We got the guy we went after. Our athletic director was up there on Wednesday. Mike Norvell was the number one choice. He didn't take the job. He stayed at FSU, and you got Kalen DeBoer, who's a great coach, and I think he's going to do a great job. But Mike Norvell also rated half your roster as well. Sorry, Bama. Not sorry. He was your choice. Sorry. That was it. And
it's funny how I don't even think Norvell, like if I would, and again, I'm not in a position to run these things, but Norvell wouldn't have even been an option for me if I was Alabama. That's the interesting thing. Like, I never would have thought for 1 second that when Saban retired that it would have been Norvell. Like, we're going after Mike Norvell. Like, I got to be honest. I didn't see that happening. And it's nothing against Mike. It's just, and I feel the same way to an extent about DeBoer. I felt like DeBoer still had some levels to climb.
Yeah.
I hate to be that guy that's putting like a barrier on it.
You think Kalen DeBoer, if Mike wasn't getting the job, Kalen DeBoer.
I felt the same thing about Mike. The reason why I felt it about Mike is because Alabama, a lot of it, like I've been saying on the show since Saban is retired, Saban did a really good job of getting the boosters to buy in and give what they could, but it wasn't like Alabama had like unlimited NIL funds like people were thinking. These guys wanted to play for Saban.
The playing field was leveling for him. I think it's another reason Saban left.
Right. And so I had my concern, like, hey, Mike Norvell is not exactly like recruiting white hot at a high school level at Florida State.
But Alabama,
I'm curious how that translates to Alabama. Like, are people still going to look at the logo, and no matter what, does it matter who's the head coach? That was my big question mark. And that's kind of where I'm at with DeBoer as well. So I wanted to see. I thought they would go with a more proven commodity as a high school recruiter. That was.
I tell you what, Alabama fans got a rude awakening coming. It's not because Kalen DeBoer is a bad choice or is a bad coach. You ain't ever going to win as much as Saban won. And my friend, hopefully I can find this. My good friend David Hammond sent me this the other day. And we all know his record, right? Saban's record. And it's just like, how many losses did he have in the last 10 years? 11 losses? Oh, wait, hopefully.
You were lucky to get one out of them. For a solid 10 years, you were lucky to get one loss out of them.
All right, so listen to this. This is from 247 Sports. 07. First year, lost to LSU, who won the national championship. 08, lost to Florida, who won the national championship. 09, won the national championship. 10, lost to Auburn, who won the national championship. 11, won the national championship. 12, won the national championship. 13, lost to Auburn, who lost the national championship to FSU. 14, lost to Ohio State, who won the national championship. 15, won the national championship. 16, lost to Clemson, who won the national championship. 17, won the national championship. 18, lost to Clemson, who won the national championship. 19, lost to LSU, who won the national championship. 20, won the national championship. Lost to Georgia, who won the national championship. 23, lost to Michigan, who won the national championship. Are you freaking kidding me? He hardly lost. But when he did lose, it was the best team in the nation. I mean, Alabama.
He went 201 and 29.
You have got a rude awakening coming. It is not going to be
to the
pretty.
point. They've lost two games in 4 of their last 5 seasons, and sandwiched in there is a 13-0 season. And you think that they've underwhelmed?
Yeah.
Going 13-2 is underwhelming.
Yeah, and they are thin-skinned in Tuscaloosa, as I came to find out. So we shall see. All right, we'll take our last break here and come back on the other side and get you ready for what's going to be a big weekend in sports here in Tampa Bay. I got to get to the high school basketball story. This is an interesting story. I'm interested to hear your take on this, Nick Geddes. We are brought to you by the great folks at Bay Area Modern Medical Center, BAMMC.com, and the Jeeves Law Group, JEEVES lawgroup.com. Go to their websites, contact them through there, and tell them JP sent you. Back in 3. Stay with us. JP here for the Jeeves Law Group and my man, Scott Jeeves. If you're going to hire an attorney, do you want some guy looking for a quick settlement and a quick buck, or do you want an attorney with some chops? Scott is a board-certified civil trial lawyer and a certified circuit court mediator. Been practicing in the Tampa Bay area for over 30 years. He is a peer-reviewed AV preeminent-rated civil trial lawyer. They just don't hand out those classifications. He's been the lead class action counsel on many complex consumer protection cases and has handled hundreds of serious personal injury cases. He's dedicated his career to protecting injured victims and is committed to vigorously representing you. We're local, we're trusted, and we get results. Personal injury and personal attention. Call for a free case evaluation. That's 888-9-JEEVES. That's 888-9-JEEVES. The Jeeves Law Group. JP here for the Geddes Gordon Real Estate Group and our good friend Jane Geddes. Folks, simply put, there is nobody like Jane. Jane is a former LPGA 2-time major championship winner. She was also vice president of talent relations at WWE. She also has a law degree from Stetson. So if Jane can drain a 10-footer to win the U.S. Open and stare down Hulk Hogan in the boardroom, you want Jane on your real estate team to not only negotiate the best deal, but find you the perfect home or investment property. And when you work with the Geddes Gordon Group, you become part of the real estate family and get concierge services that include expertly staging, marketing, and preparing your home for sale. Advice on golf properties. Hey, you might even get some golf tips. Many of their clients become friends long after the sale or purchase is completed. It's all part of the deal. So if you're looking for that perfect home or investment property or trying to get top dollar for your home, go with Jane Geddes and the Geddes Gordon Group, because there's nobody like Jane. Call 813-485-6808 or go to GeddesGordon.kw.com. That's GEDDES Gordon.kw.com or call 813-485-6808. Everyone knows Italiano Insurance is your go-to for home insurance, but they also have an amazing team that focuses on business insurance. Yes, your business is most likely your biggest asset, so make sure you have the right coverage at the most competitive price. And if you started a side hustle recently, don't forget you need business insurance, because if you get sued in this over-litigious society we live in, you could lose all your personal wealth. So get that business insurance. And for the best customer service, always choose Italiano. My representative, Charity, is amazing. I called her late on a Friday because my insurance was going to lapse. She stayed late until the job was done. You just don't find that anymore. Give them a call, 813-877-7799. That's 813-877-7799. Italiano Insurance.
Let's go.
Right now, back to the show on FanStream Sports.
All right, welcome back to the JP Peterson Show here as we roll on this Thursday. We apologize to all you commenters here. As we mentioned earlier in the show, we are tape delaying today so I can play in a Pro-Am, the Aramco Team Challenge that is out at Feather Sound. So come on out and check it if you want to heckle me. I'll be playing till about 2 o'clock, 2:30. Then we got the lightning duties tonight, as well as Calgary comes in, or what's left of Calgary comes in, as they've traded off a lot of their team. Hopefully, the Bolts will be able to pick up a couple of points here because, as Nick mentioned, they got the gauntlet coming up big time. All right, so here's the story. This happened up in New Jersey. Massaquan versus Camden high school basketball, Group 2 boys basketball semifinal. Winner goes to the championship game. Loser go home. With 5.8 seconds left, Camden took a 46-45 lead after hitting a couple of free throws. Massaquan quickly worked the ball down the court. Missed the initial shot. However, the rebound appeared to be tipped in before the buzzer, and that's how the officials initially ruled it. Then the referees huddled and declared the ball didn't leave the player's hand before time expired. Didn't look at a review. We're not looking at video, but just huddled and overturned their own call. That gave Camden the victory after a spot in the championship game. Subsequently, video was reviewed, not by officially, because that's not allowed by the New Jersey rules, high school rules. But everybody looked at the video, and you can look at it online. Clearly, the ball was tipped before the light went on. Should have been a basketball, should have been a goal, and Camden should have lost. Massaquan should have won. So now, according to the Asbury Park Press, Massaquan appealed the decision, but it was rejected by the NJSIAA, even though the organization acknowledged that the officials made a mistake. However, rules say video review cannot be used to reverse the ruling, and they're going to take it to court. What say, Nick, to me, you have to write this wrong. And I think it's because they initially called it one way and then huddled up and overturned the call. So to me, you gotta, it's the championship game. They won it fair and square. The video shows that. And if we're going to have some type of appeal process, I know that this might open Pandora's box a little bit here, but in this particular case, I think they have to overturn it. What say you?
I would agree. Now, did you say that? So they called it no basket.
Originally, they called it good.
Or no, they called it good first, and then they huddled up.
Yeah, can you imagine the pandemonium there, by the way, in a high school gym?
First of all,
oh my God,
you know how we feel about that. We share the same sentiment. How they do this in the NFL, where we call something and then we have to huddle up.
Yeah,
get more input apparently. So I hate that already. So I would have. I don't like replay. So I would have gone. The call on the court was that it was a basket, and we leave it there. But the fact that they even have replay, I didn't even know they had high school replay.
They don't.
For this
they
stuff.
don't. That's the whole point. But the game was being filmed, or
the game was being filmed. That's how they got the film. Okay,
right. So the game was on TV. So somebody was televising it, and whether it be a live stream or whatever, and they could have gone and looked at that at courtside and said, "Okay, good bucket." I don't know. I normally, you know me, I'm like human
that might
mistake.
be a little bit of a gray area, though, right there.
Yeah.
Because it's not. Because see, that's the thing. I missed it in your story. I thought there was like an actual like replay system they had.
No, they just
so you're telling me this was
and overturned their own call.
You're telling me this was just a fan who was shooting the game,
right? No, I think it was a TV copy. It was actual
copy.
TV copy. Yeah, but you could clearly see that the shot should have been good. It should have been good. So, I mean, at this point, if you're going to have an appeals system, and listen, I would just like say, and now you're going to take it to court. So what are they going to do in court?
I mean, I don't see them just overturning the result.
Well, if the rules say you can't use video to overrule it, I think they're not going to win the court case.
So they're not going to win the court case then.
Yeah. So I don't know. It feels wrong to me. You know,
can you imagine celebrating and everything?
Oh my God. Yeah, it's crazy. And then you start wondering, like, what the hell, you know, first of all, it's New Jersey and their officials are huddling, you know, you got red flag written all over this thing.
When you first were telling me the story,
Soprano's going to come out. Soprano's sitting in the court side, going to come out and like, hey, you know that was no good, right? You know that was no good, right?
I first thought this was like a gambling story where like one of the refs had, you know, a little something on it and told the head ref like, hey, I have something on this game.
Might come to be. All right, we got to get out of here. Great job, Nick. Appreciate you. Thank you all for watching, listening, and commenting, even though we couldn't comment back. We will be back tomorrow. We will be live at the Aramco team event. So we will have your aunt, Jane Geddes, joining us, and hopefully some other players as well. And, of course, we'll be following the Baker Mayfield situation. So thank you guys for watching. We will be back for a live show on Friday from the Aramco Team Series event. And we will see you then. Have a great day, everybody.
This is The Strike. 102.5 WHPT, HD2 Sarasota, Tampa, St. Pete.